My name is Laurence Went, and I am the playwright, author of An Oxford Man. It's sort of the life and times mythologized of Laurence Michael Dillon, who is widely regarded as one of the earliest modern understandings that we have of a transgender man. He was a phenomenal man of science, and he developed testosterone treatment, hormonal replacement therapy, on himself as an experiment to cure his own gender dysphoria, which worked. And then he documented that and started to create sort of the body of work that we rely on for our understanding of how to treat gender dysphoria. As much as it's about Laurence, it's also about coming into an understanding of queer identity in the 20th century, where we start to see language differentiate experiences within queerness, which didn't really exist before. So we didn't have different language between homosexual attraction and gender identity and all these different forms of queerness. And what the play gets to do is sort of have a very bouncy and fun jaunt through the mid-century as people are starting to discover these differences and insist that they are in fact meaningful and that they deserve to be identified as such. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about various just like transgender historical figures from sort of pre-Stonewall, pre the political movement, and just examining how people lived their lives before there was any sort of organization or any sort of coalition building. And I was actually listening to a podcast about Roberta Cowell, who is one of the first trans women to receive gender-affirming surgery and become a bit of a celebrity because of it. And she has a very interesting overlap in her life and her journey with Laurence. And I thought, okay, well, hang on, like, who is this trans man who is sort of a footnote in history? So listening to these podcasts, I started to do a bunch of research and listen to a lot more of them and go in depth and read some of Laurence's original writing and piece together this mythology, because of course every story you get from queer history is going to be slightly different from any other story about the same figures, because we are myth makers. And in going through his personal writings about him, documentation about his life, I started to really get the idea of what sort of a play this could be, rather than just a biopic about this one man, how it could actually open up and take a look at the development of queer literacy, as it were. What I hope they feel while they're watching it is an invitation to sort of delight in the absurdity of how repressive the past was, and how ebullient and full of life people had to be to discover themselves and to insist, oh no, I am this, I do exist in the world. But what I hope they take away with them is that we have all of this political pressure, all of this political violence coming against trans people right now in this very moment, and a lot of it is being shaped and termed as though it's a new phenomenon, as though this is something that's been developing, in the last couple decades. And I want people to know that that's absolutely not true. This story is from 80 years ago, and what's so interesting about seeing people of all generations interact with it is I think that a lot of young queer people don't know their history this far back. They don't quite realize what the fight was in the post-war era for queer people. But then a lot of people who were children at that time come and see this play, and they sort of realize, like, oh, this is something that was happening out of my view as I was growing up and has been in a parallel life to me. And it's not something new and strange. It's actually something that was obscured from me. The play is irreverent, and it is life-affirming, and it is quietly confrontational.